was practicing only 3 months, and in those days there were no public defender. There were no public defender system, and lawyers were assigned to do pro bono defense work for nothing. And the only time you could be paid is if you got a murder case. They called it a capital case. So my father knew the assignment judge. In fact, he had been to my bar mitzvah. And so I was admitted in September of 1961. And in November of 1961, I got a call from Alex Waugh, the assignment judge. And he said, "Barry, come on up. I have a case for you." So I walked up Market Street to the courthouse, and he handed me a file. I said, what is the case about? He said, "It's a murder case." I said, "A murder case? I've never been in court in my life." He said, "Well, you'll learn. Go watch a couple of trials and you'll learn." So that day I went to the Rutgers Law Library. I took out about 6-7 books. And I remember that weekend reading about how to defend a murder case. I didn't even know where the defense attorney sat in the courtroom. And I learned what I had to do, and I tried the case, and I got the fellow acquitted. And it was a very, very interesting case, because it was a case where the defendant was the defendant was accused of murdering his cousin over whether he owed him $2 on a World Series bet, and he knifed his cousin in the argument in a bar. And there were 4 witnesses to the knifing. And after he plunged his knife into him, he fled the jurisdiction. He was found 2 years after working as a mechanic in Long Island. So it seemed to be a pretty open and shut case against the defendant. So how was he acquitted? He was. It turned out, as luck would have it, not that I knew anything about medicine, but I happened to get the medical reports from the Martland Medical Center, which is now called University Hospital, where he was sent right after, the victim was sent right after he was knifed. And I read it, and it appeared to me that the wound was not really what you would call a fatal wound. So in those days, I was playing tennis with a young internist. He just started practicing medicine. I showed him the medical report. He said, the wound didn't kill him. He got sepsis in the hospital, and that's what killed him. So we tried the case. Basically turned out to be a medical malpractice case. He got on the stand, and he explained to the jury what killed him, and the jury came back and said not guilty. Unfortunately for my client, the prosecutor never amended the indictment or tried to amend the complaint to atrocious assault and battery on somebody, and instead the case went to the jury just on whether he was guilty of second-degree murder. And the funny part is, it was those cases we got $7,500, and that's what I was being paid by my father. So it was quite a windfall. I then tried 3 other murder cases and got basically 3 acquittals. And so then what happened was somehow word got out that I was effective. And before long, I was approached by what was then the Monmouth County division of the Gambino family. And they were run by Big Pussy Russo and Little Pussy Russo. They had changed their name, so to speak. Their last name was Russell. But I guess to be part of the mob, you had to have an Italian name. And they were quite a group of guys. They were fun people. Everybody had a nickname. There was names like Harry the Hat Stradacchio, and there was Vinny the Arm Canera. He was the enforcer. There was Joe the Torch Diorsi. He used to go burn down stores and stuff for the insurance. And so they were a good group of guys, and so I spent time doing that for about 7 years until my dad had a bad stroke, and then I had to take on his divorce cases. So that's the early days.